As a guest on a recent episode of E! True Hollywood Story, Jaleel White and Jo Marie Payton spoke on the development of Family Matters and the rough beginning White had as he was being introduced to the show. When we came on, producers told us the dynamic was going to change. The shows were going to be about him, and we said, okay. We weren't happy about it. I think along the way it got to be a little resentful, but it was an adjustment that we had to make. Today we have our Comedy Hype analyst, Vanessa Fraction, and Pierre on the show to talk about Jo Marie Payton's reveal, and we have to ask, was the cast reaction to Jaleel White being added to the show justified? Now I want to dive straight into this one, Pierre. I'm going to start with you. When you first heard that news break, what was your first reaction?
It made sense to me. As actors or entertainers, we all have egos. I don't care what they say, some people have bigger egos than others. And when you bring somebody, when you have an idea of how the show is going to run and you're going to do something, and somebody brings someone new in, and you become second fiddle, I hate to say it like that, and they become the star, yes, you will ruffle some feathers, and it's normal. But if you're making money, I don't get off the train. My ego can come down if I know that I'm making some money with this person. The show kept on going for, 10 years, I think it was. Hey, you got to learn how to adjust with it if you want to keep that money. Because, look, at the end of the day, no disrespect to none of those actors, but none of them really blew up, on their own. So, thank God for Urkel. He kept that show going for 10 years. Well, the whole cast did, but you know what I'm saying.
Now, Vanessa, I want to bring that same question to you. What was your reaction when you first heard that news break?
That, their emotions are justified. Our emotions are and our feelings are just that. When somebody comes in, you're immediately thinking, like, what's my position going to be? Am I going to be replaced, or am I going to make the same money? Those kinds of things. So when you say it was rocky in the beginning, that type of thing just happens naturally because, as Pierre said, we do have egos. We do, change is sometimes different to get used to or get accustomed to. I did think, though, when I thought about it, was that happens a lot. And though they were in it, when you look back, there's a lot of shows that brought in that next person. You know what I mean? Like the Cosby Show brought in Olivia, which was Raven Simone, and Pam, which was Erica Alexander, or Good Times brought in Penny, you know what I'm saying, which was Janet Jackson, or Full House brought in the twins, or The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air brought in Little Nicky. You know what I mean? So it's something that we see in television, and so as consumers, we're digging it. But as the actor, I could see where you get a little tense.
Right. I think you bring up some great points there. Now, I want to lay up a few facts that we do know. So back in, I believe it was May of 2021, Jaleel White was on an unsung episode, and I quote, he says, "I was not welcome to the cast at all. They know what it was. I didn't think anything of it being cast to be on Family Matters because it was supposed to be only a guest spot, one and done." Now, we would later see that he was a guest throughout a couple of the episodes, and it wasn't until the 12th episode that he became a full cast member. Now, later this year, and as I mentioned earlier in the same article, the E! True Hollywood Story, Jaleel would go on to detail a specific story with Jamie Foxworth, who played Judy. He stated that, "I remember Jamie saying something to me on set like, 'Well, my mom said I was supposed to get a storyline before you,'" which kind of goes into that pride that you guys kind of touched on. Now, after the show's 4th season, Foxworth's character was written out without any explanation. According to E! Online executive producer and creative TGIF, Jim Janex said there wasn't a lot to do for her character, while Family Matters co-creator William Beckley said he assumed the studio wanted to cut the budget, which is why she was removed. So there was a lot of facts and a lot of things taking place, as you mentioned, Vanessa, behind scenes that as consumers we may not know. But given that information, Pierre, I'll start with you. Do you think the cast reactions to Jaleel White's, them being upset, do you think that was justified because of him being added to the show?
Well, I mean, justified, I don't know. I understood, but they have to understand this also. Hollywood is a business. We only see the outcome, the beauty of it, the fun, the laughter. But behind the scenes, it's a business. If it ain't making money, it got to go. I don't care how much we like it. So if a character is not making them any money, or not really fitting for them, and they're losing money, they're going to get rid of them. If a character is shining, they're going to continue, having that person. So justified, you got to learn the business. You have to understand it's a business first. It's show business, but business is bigger than the word show. So I understand anybody came from classical acting class or school acting. It's like Janet Hubert didn't like Will Smith being silly and goofy and all that. Hey, man, if that's what's paying these bills, that's what it is. And sometimes actors don't like that. Well-trained actors don't like people who have comedic talent or over-the-top talent performances on their show. They feel like they're overshadowing their artistic work as being great actors or good actors. Hey, man, it's a business. It's a sitcom. People want to laugh, man. They don't care how great of an actor you are. It's who's funniest on that show, on the show. And that's what it was. So I understand they're great, but it's a business. It is a business.
And Vanessa, I'll phrase that to you as well. Was the cast reaction to Jaleel White being added to the show justified?
Their reaction of being a bit resentful for Sister Judy, the girl that played that role. I remember when she went up those stairs and she ain't never come back down. We all know, we all know about that, you know. So as Pierre said, that is part of the business, you know what I mean? And they could have said like, hey, we're going to write you in some more stuff, blah, blah, blah. But then somebody came in and started shining, you know. And so they have to go with that route. They got to go with what's going to make them the most money. And, you know, Jaleel White definitely did that. I wanted an Urkel doll, you know what I mean? I think as far as justified, as far as how you treat somebody, I think you have to be careful with that. People they may not remember what you said, as Maya Angelou says, but they do remember how you made them feel. And even though you're dealing with your own personal feelings, I think that it's important to be easy to work with and make your work environment something enjoyable. You know what I mean? He's a young Black guy too. And as he said, I thought I was just coming in for a one and done. Come to find out, I'm finna make history. You know what I'm saying? Or come to find out, I'm finna change my life is finna change. And so to be able to celebrate that person in real time, you know, is something that's really good. And especially for people that have been in the business for a much longer time, you just have to feel secure in who you are as an actor and what you may be able to bring to someone else and possibly be that mentor or possibly just be that person where they were like, you know what? I just remember them always just having a smile on their face. And I know it was tough because their job they might have been feeling like their job was shaking, but they always treated me good. So I think it's good to sometimes check our feelings, and you can fuss and holler at the house to your spouse or whoever, but go into work with a really great attitude and make the whole, you know, where the whole cast can really feel good. I think that's important.
Right, absolutely. And I think this is the first time we've heard from Jo Marie Payton. So I think, you know, as we see this story continue to develop, there may be more people that are, you know, going to come forward and say how they feel on this topic. But I appreciate you, Vanessa and Pierre, for calling in to touch on this. You heard from us. Now we want to hear from you in the comments below. Were the cast's reaction to Jaleel White being added to the show justified? For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Put it in the comments.
Comments.
For Comedy Hype News.
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 Comedy Hype News.
For Comedy Hype News, I'm Jaleel.
Looking for nostalgia? We got classic comedy films. Looking for something original? We got never-before-seen stand-up specials. Looking for funny, dope content? It's all right here at Comedy Hype. Sign up for Comedy Hype streaming platform at comedyhype.com.